It is the year 168 BC. As the sun painted the morning sky, detachments from the Roman and Macedonian forces converged at the Loicus River to quench their thirst. Their shared goal of drawing water, accomplished by two cohorts and accompanying cavalry on the Roman side, mirrored a likely complement among the Macedonians. A fragile truce was held in the face of this common need. However, during the afternoon, a Roman mule made its escape, and its flight became the catalyst for ensuing turmoil. Pursued by 3 soldiers, its hooves splashed into the waters. Its escape was an unexpected prelude to a chain of events that would alter the course of history. Guided by 2 Thracians from the Macedonian ranks, the mule strayed to the enemy's side, an audacious jest that turned lethal as a Roman hand claimed the life of 1 Thracian. The ripples of this encounter unraveled the truce, inciting the Macedonian army to cross the river. Thus, the Battle of Pydna was set in motion. In 179 BC, Macedonian King Perseus had risen to power through controversial means, implicated in his brother's execution and father's death. Despite Rome's growing influence and neighboring Greek resistance, Perseus managed to enhance Macedonia's wealth, military strength, and population. Around the same time, Rome's power had grown after the Second Punic War, resulting in the Carthaginian general Hannibal's defeat. Rome now focused on defending its Mediterranean and Aegean influence. The Italian countryside was depopulated due to war, driving Rome to rely heavily on slave labor and conscription. Despite this, Rome was still the dominant force in the region. Rome's victory over Philip V of Macedon in 197 BC was due to its adaptable maniple formation. In 190 BC, the Aetolians, a Roman ally in the Aegean, upset over Rome's terms for Philip, sought an alliance with Antiochus, the Hellenistic monarch of the Seleucid Empire, to challenge Rome's influence. Antiochus aimed to penetrate Anatolia and Greece by defeating the Romans. A battle ensued at Magnesia in Lydia, where a Roman-Greek army commanded by consul Lucius Cornelius Scipio faced Antiochus's forces. The Roman infantry resisted Antiochus's Macedonian-style phalanx, defeating the Seleucids. Antiochus fled after his left flank collapsed, and Rome ordered his surrender. They demanded his handover and the abandonment of lands west of the Taurus Mountains. Instability followed for 2 decades as Greece and Anatolia approached Roman administration. Rome intervened in minor conflicts using the Roman garrisons stationed in the region. They were suspicious about most of the subdued state's intentions, not in the least Philip's Macedon. Thessalians and Eumenes of Pergamon voiced complaints to Rome about Philip V, prompting Roman investigations. Philip sent his youngest son Demetrius to Rome, seeking to prevent an escalation of the conflict. In the true nature of brutal Macedonian court politics, a power struggle emerged between him and Philip's oldest illegitimate son, Perseus. This culminated in Demetrius's death. Philip died soon after, and Perseus took control of the kingdom. He maintained Macedonia's hostility towards Rome while renewing alliances. He also rallied support from political exiles and those burdened by Roman influence. The pro-Roman Achaean League condemned his efforts, but Perseus continued building anti-Roman sentiment throughout the region. Gentius, king of the Illyrians, was originally a Roman ally, but attempted to play both sides. The Thracian Cotys IV, king of the Odrysian kingdom, the largest state in Thrace, supported Perseus. Rome's Gallic allies also wandered in the region, eager to accept bribes and betray their allies. Roman commissioners were sent to assess Greece's situation, and Eumenes presented Perseus's crimes to the Senate. War seemed inevitable. The Roman Senate decided to send troops to Greece. 40 ships under Gaius Lucretius were sent to Greece, and 2,000 troops were sent to occupy Larissa, the capital of Thessaly, to prevent Perseus from garrisoning the city. The main army advanced under Roman consul Publius Licinius Crassus. In preparation for war, Perseus's army expanded, focusing on infantry phalanx due to the local terrain's unsuitability for cavalry. However, the phalanx had limitations, lacking mobility and effectiveness in mountainous areas. With Crassus advancing, the two armies converged at Callinicus in Thessaly. A fierce battle followed, resulting in a resounding victory for the Macedonians. A stalemate arose between the two armies at the Elpius River. The situation did not look good for the Romans. The Senate understood their precarious position and the urgent need for a Roman victory. In 168 BC, the Roman Senate chose Lucius Aemilius Paulus, experienced and uninterested in personal gain, to confront Perseus. A committee was sent to Greece to assess the situation, revealing the standoff at the Elpius River. Appius Claudius's forces in Illyricum suggested surrounding the Macedonians, but there was no serious movement yet. Perseus tried to use alliances with Gauls and King Gentius of Ardii to provoke Rome into war. He didn't pay the Gauls as promised, resulting in their retreat across the Danube. However, King Getius, a Roman ally, was swayed by the generous offer regardless. He arrested two Roman envoys. The news reached Lucius Aemilius Paulus and the Senate, leading to preparations. Paulus gathered legions, around 14,000 foot soldiers and 1,200 cavalry. He crossed the Adriatic to Greece, while Lucius Anicius Gallus and 10,000 troops and 400 cavalry headed to Illyricum. Within a month, Gallus seized Gentius as Paulus marched towards the Roman forces at the Elpius. Paulus executed a diversionary feint against Perseus's northern forces, while sending a significant force under his son, Publius Scipio Nasica, around mountains to attack Perseus's rear. With Cretan soldiers deserting to Perseus, Nasica's 2,000 troops confronted a larger Macedonian force and triumphed. Incorrectly assuming guarded passes, Nasica descended to strike Perseus's camp. Fearing being trapped between Paulus and Nasica, Perseus retreated north, establishing a new camp near Katerini, south of Pydna. The convergence of Nasica's and Paulus's armies near Aliki created a stalemate against Perseus's forces across the Lycus River. The flat terrain chosen by Perseus was neutralized as the Romans rested on unfavorable ground, while their camp on Mount Olocris hindered the Macedonian phalanxes. A lunar eclipse on June 22nd brought contrasting interpretations. The Romans saw it as a good omen, while the Macedonians believed it to foreshadow their downfall. The Romans commanded between 29 and 38,600 soldiers, 2,600 cavalry, and 22 war elephants. The Macedonians numbered around 43,000 soldiers, 20,000 of whom were phalangites, with 4,000 cavalry. Both sides hesitated to engage in battle the next morning. In the scorching summer heat, detachments fetched water from the Lycus River. The implicit agreement not to attack each other disappeared when a Roman mule strayed into the water, leading to a skirmish. Roman soldiers killed one Macedonian trying to fetch the mule. The Romans eagerly jumped up to prepare for the battle upon hearing the initial skirmish, seizing the opportunity to turn an accident into an advantage. As the Romans prepared to fight, Perseus also moved his forces to battle. His men persuaded him to initiate the advance against the Romans, despite his already advantageous position. Likely positioning his legions in the center, flanked by allies and cavalry, Paulus confronted Perseus's advancing phalanxes. In his rear stood the war elephants. Perseus's divisions included imposing Thracians, mercenaries, and elite Macedonians. According to Livy, the sight of the Macedonian forces, bristling with weapons, initially struck fear in Paulus and his army. The Macedonians crossed the river and charged against the hastily deployed Roman lines. The lower slopes of Mount Olocris saw the Roman right line, composed of Italian allies and cavalry, trying to repel the Macedonians, but they struggled. Despite attempts to inspire them, the Roman line was gradually pushed back and forced uphill, by the advancing Macedonians. As the Macedonians advanced uphill, their initial advantage waned due to the uneven terrain of Mount Elocris. The Macedonian phalanx began to fragment as sections of the army moved to different parts of the mountain, creating gaps and disarray in their line. Paulus astutely recognized this and divided his cohorts to exploit the openings in the Macedonian formation. The Romans engaged in multiple separate battles within the Macedonian ranks, attacking from different angles and taking advantage of the uneven ground. This strategy shattered the cohesion of the Macedonian phalanx. The rough terrain disrupted the Macedonian line, providing opportunities for Roman units to insert themselves into the gaps and attack effectively. The Macedonian cavalry on the flanks eventually abandoned the battle, sensing defeat. Perseus himself fled, leaving his army vulnerable. Livy wrote, "The cavalry left the battle virtually unscathed. Perseus himself led the flight. As the Macedonian infantry was left vulnerable, the Romans launched a relentless assault from all sides, front, flank, and rear. The Macedonian cavalry managed to escape with their formation intact, as the Romans were preoccupied with dealing with the infantry. The disarray allowed the Romans to engage in a prolonged massacre, leading to the downfall of the Macedonian forces. Some Macedonian survivors attempted to flee to the Gulf of Thessalonica, where they faced further calamity. Many drowned or were slain by Roman ships, mistaken for friendly vessels. Others who fled inland were trampled by Roman elephants. The scale of destruction was exceptionally brutal, even by ancient warfare standards. In total, the Macedonians lost around 31,000 troops. 20,000 were killed and 11,000 were captured. According to ancient sources, the Romans lost no more than 100 killed and wounded. Among the captured after the battle was the Greek historian Polybius, who would go on to document the rise of the Roman Republic's dominance in the Mediterranean region in his extensive historical work. After the resounding victory over the Macedonian army, Rome imposed severe consequences on Macedonia and its allies in the Aegean. Macedonia was dismantled and divided into 4 separate leagues, with cross-boundary marriages and business alliances prohibited. The ruling class was taken to Rome, where show trials were held across Greece, resulting in many executions. Similar actions were taken against Illyricum and Epirus. The defeat of Macedonia marked a turning point for Rome, solidifying its status as the most influential regional power. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave a like, it really helps out the channel. If there is a topic, battle, or person you would like to know more about, let me know your thoughts in a comment. I would also like to thank all my patrons and channel members for their generous support. If you enjoy House of History and you want to support my work, consider joining me on Patreon. For just $1 per month, you will already gain early access to all my videos without any in-video advertisements. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.